Mom, I'm home. Mom emerges out of the kitchen, coffee in hand.
Michael, how was school?
All things considered, I say it went well. Mom smiles at my news.
Good, I'm glad to hear that. How'd it go with your anime club? Did you sign up?
Well, I can't officially do that until next week, but I gave them my commitment that I'd join the club.
Good.
Mom takes a seat next to me on the couch and begins ruffling my hair. I'm pretty sure there's supposed to be 2 T's in commitment? Pretty sure. Can't remember.
My big boy is getting involved in school.
Mom, cut it out. I was seeing. I lightly push her hands away from my hair and sit up. You know how long it takes to get my hair down.
You don't do anything with it, you just have it down all the time. I was looking for hairstylists around town and I found one that's close to your school.
My hair is fine as is.
If you want to pick up some girls, you can always go with me this weekend to check the place out.
Mom, I say in what's probably the most stereotypical teenager way of whining, though she seems to get the hint that she shouldn't press too much further.
I'm just putting it out there for you, Michael.
I know, I appreciate it. Mom smiles at me as she takes another sip of her coffee.
So, did you meet anyone interesting?
Well, I met this guy Shiro at the train station.
Oh, so he lives around here?
I'd guess so. I didn't really ask where he lives. He seems alright though. He's who introduced to the anime club. He's the one who introduced me to the anime club?
Well, that's good.
I also met Kayla, the club president, and Ruby, who's the vice president.
Are they pretty?
I instantly turned red with embarrassment. Mom!
I'm joking. But hey, you never know.
I don't even know if they're single, to be honest. Not that I thought about them that way. Though there is this girl named Sam who sits behind me in my math class.
How's she? Did you talk to her?
Well, sort of.
Define sort of.
I mean, well, we know each other's first names. I didn't really get the chance to talk to her, though. She's the quiet type. Mom looks at me with a look of approval in her eyes.
There you go. That's a start. You need to find a way to get her attention. Do you know what she's into?
According to Shiro, she's the artsy type.
Well, you used to do a fair bit of drawing yourself.
Mom, I haven't drawn anything in years.
Well, if you practiced, maybe you'd be up to par.
I just didn't think it was worth my time in the end.
Oh, come on. That's your father talking. I always did like your drawings. Why, I always thought you'd be the next Leonardo da Vinci.
That's like a 1 in a million chance. Still, I wouldn't mind seeing those drawings again.
I'm sure I packed your old drawings here somewhere. I'll look for them tomorrow.
What, I'm supposed to show her a drawing I did a decade ago?
Oh, would she know the difference?
I paused to myself for a moment. Is she really proposing that I show my old drawings to Sam, who is probably more advanced in art than me in every possible way? Well, it's not like I have a better option. I mean, I get what you're getting at. Mom smiles sweetly to herself.
Mother knows best. Anyways, go do your homework and we can watch some TV together later.
Alright, Mom. Almost forgot that I had homework with how this day has gone. Thankfully, it's not anything that'll take me too long. I pick up my backpack and begin making my way to my bedroom, but not before stopping in the hallway before taking a glance at Mom. She's just looking out the window, coffee in hand, listening to the birds chirping. She seems to be holding up okay. I really should be more appreciative of what she's trying to do for me. She just doesn't want want what happened to her and Dad happening to me. But it's a new school, new life, new everything. I'm sure I'll have plenty of time to sort all that out. I think things are finally looking up. Falling Leaves. Original story by Spaghetto. Well, that sure was a fancy credit sequence. Oh, it's still going. The first day of school has come to an end at St. Salvato High. Most of the students have already left to go home. However, there are few students who have chosen to linger. A few students, and not necessarily by choice either. Well, this is another mystery prison. I've had enough of you, Kai. You've messed around with me for the last time. The student swings his fist directly at Kai's face. Kai effortlessly catches the fist thrown at him.
Pathetic.
With his free hand, Kai forms a fist of his own and directly swings it into the student's mouth, causing him to land on his back. He hits the ground with a hard thud. Randy then gets behind the student and picks up by the collar. Oh, I didn't realize that this was... For some reason I thought this was Randy, but no, this is the guy who's getting picked on. Randy sneers at the student and then promptly slams him right into the wall, pinning him. The student yelps in pain and attempts to free himself to no avail. Kai slyly walks up to the student as he attempts to escape Randy's grasp.
That was uncalled for, Chester. Not even Jason was this hostile towards us. Speaking of Jason, you owe us for that favor we did for you before break. I'm sure we've rang that bell by now. I don't owe you anything. Let me go or my father will hear of this. Well, Chester, how brave of you. We both know you're not man enough to tell anyone about this. Though I must admit, I'd love to hear you try to explain how it was you who threw the first punch, in front of an eyewitness, no less. As far as I'm concerned, I just simply defended myself. I'd also love to hear you explain to him how you've been dealing with the likes of me, as you so kindly put it just a minute ago.
Go to hell!
Been there, done that. And I'll put you all the way down in the ninth circle myself if you don't pay up right now.
Randy releases Chester, who falls right to the ground.
I really don't want to have to make this any more difficult than it has to be, Chester. But the way I see it, you asked us to do something and I promised us a reward. We held up our end. You owe us.
Not my fault you waited until the last minute. You waited too long to collect.
Last minute or not, we still did it. Now are you going to pay up?
Chester groans at Kai and turns to Randy. Randy cracks his knuckles threateningly and Chester's attitude quickly deflates. And defeatingly, Chester looks back at Kai and reaches into his pocket to hand him a wad of cash. There, happy! Kai stands for a moment as he takes the money from Chester and begins counting the bills. Once Kai is finished counting, he happily nods at Chester.
Pleasure doing business with you.
Yeah, real pleasure.
Next time, be honest with people. Now run along, you snob.
Chester stands up and brushes himself off as he limply walks away from Kai and Randy. Kai lets out a laugh and hands Randy a few of the bills.
That's your cut. Don't spend it all in one place.
Randy lets out a chuckle as he pockets the money.
I'd say all things considered, this was a successful first day back. Too many people still have their head in the clouds. Summer vacation has really fried some of them.
We'll fix that.
Yes, we will. I have to say, that Michael guy that was hanging around Shiro was interesting.
You think I'll be a problem?
I doubt it. Given time, you'll realize why nobody wants to be around Shiro. For now, I might have our new friend keep tabs on him, just to make sure he's on the right track.
Sounds good to me. The two boys begin their walk away from the school.
I have big plans for this year, Randy. Big plans. Soon Shiro and all the other egotists in this school will see their worlds come crashing down. They all think that just because years have passed means that they can forget everything they did. Well, I'll tell you something. They'll see just how wrong they are. We will finally earn the respect we deserve and claim what is rightfully ours. He says as he maliciously laughs into the horizon.
That's how I imagine he laughs. Oh, guys, is that it? I mean, is that all there is to it? Let me just see. Is episode 2 here? Or what? We had only episode 1 at first. The main section, blah, 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 blah. Aha, episode 2 does exist. Alright, let's keep going then. Let's just keep going. I click. Click. Michael, said someone. Michael? Dude, wake up! Wake up! Huh? I'm immediately jolted awake and look to my left to see who had awakened me. I open my eyes to a blurry haze for the first few seconds, but my vision is quickly restored. Shiro? I say, rubbing my eyes. In the flesh, he says with a smile. I look around the room to find myself in Mr. Hara's classroom. Though Mr. Hara is sitting at his desk and the rest of the class seems to be working on something. Oh, that's right, the worksheet. I sit back upright and look down at my desk to find that the worksheet was under me the entire time. Well, at least I didn't drool all over it.
Yeah, I woke you up so you can finish it before he gets back up here. You know he's collecting this for grade, right?
Yeah, I know. Did he see me knocked out? Shiro shrugs his shoulders.
I don't think so. He hasn't gotten up from his desk since he sat down. I mean, he's been there for, what, the last 20 minutes or so?
Is that how long I was out for?
Sounds about right.
Dang, I barely even remember coming in here.
Yeah, you've been out of it all morning. You good?
Yeah, I'm fine. I just didn't get a whole lot of sleep last night. That's what I get for staying up late and watching that two-faced squid stream. Heh, totally worth it though.
Well, Hara's probably gonna be back at the front here any minute, so I'd probably start working on that.
He says, pointing to the worksheet. I take another look at Hara's assignment. Fractions. Figured it'd be something time-consuming. I'm not bad at it, but it's definitely something that's a pain to do, especially if there's several of them. Well, I better get to it. I stretch my back and crack my neck before hunkering down and trying to do the assignment as quickly as possible. Alright, how are we doing? He says as he gets up from his desk and to the podium. His question is accompanied mostly by nods of approval and thumbs up, with the occasional groan in the mix. Well, it's good to hear that you guys are getting this done. Or down. Before I collect the assignment, would anyone like to go over any other problems? I'd be willing to go over one or two of them before we move on. Your homework will be very similar to what you worked on in class today, so if you still have lingering questions, now is the best time. I want to put a space here so his name isn't, running together. I look back down at my worksheet. I managed to do 6 of the 8 problems. Well, more like 6.5 anyways. I could probably stall on this to do the one I'm working on, but I gotta bank on someone also needing help with the last one. It might look a little suspicious that I needed help with the last 2 problems. I don't want Haru to realize I slept through the first half of class today. Plus, I don't want to look that stupid in front of the whole class, much less in front of Shiro, and maybe Sam. I briefly glance back behind me at Sam, who seems to be contently drawing something on the back of the assignment. I raise my hand. Yes, Michael? Would you mind going over number 6 for us, Mr. Hara? Sure thing. It is a bit of a tricky one with the negative signs. Mr. Hara turns to the board and begins writing the problem down. I'm able to follow along with him pretty well, and we were able to wrap up the problem pretty quickly. Well, if anything else, I can be confident in knowing I got at least 1 right on this paper. Alright, any other takers? He says as he looks around the room. Going once, going twice. I cross my fingers and internally plead that someone raises their hand. Please let someone need help with the last problem. Literally anyone. Yes, Chester. Mr. Hara says, pointing towards the back of the room. I feel my anxiety spike through the roof as I nervously look on at Chester. Please let it be the last problem. Yeah, can we go over the last one? A huge wave of relief hits me. I have no idea if my answer is supposed to be positive or negative. Sure thing. Mr. Hara turns back around and begins working through the problem with Chester. I'm able to follow along and finish the problem with them. Funny that for once, I'm saved by the rich, preppy guy. Once Mr. Hara and Chester are done with the problem, I'm able to triumphantly put down my pencil. Alright, if there's no other last-minute questions, please pass the papers to the front. The class begins passing forward their papers. As I'm waiting for my row to come back, I see Sam disappointingly looking back down at her drawing. I guess she doesn't want to give it up. She turns to her phone and snaps a quick photo of it before handing it to me with everyone else's papers. As we're waiting for Hara to come by, I decided to see what Sam was drawing. I look at the back of her assignment to find some cute little cartoons some cute little cartoon with fractions. I flip the paper back around and put it in the stack with the rest. As we continue to wait, I turn back to Sam. Hey, that was a pretty cool drawing you were making there, I say, gesturing to her paper.
Oh, it was nothing.
She waves her hand dismissively as she smiles shyly. Well, if I want to get to know Sam a little bit better, this might be my best chance. At least until Monday. So, how long have you been doing art for? Sam shrugs her shoulders.
For as long as I could hold a crayon, I guess.
I wasn't sure if she was trying to be snarky or humorous, but her slight smile answers my question. I make a slight laugh in response. Well, hey, I just thought it was pretty good. Thought I'd let you know. Sam doesn't say anything, but instead just looks down, smiling. I turn back to Shiro, who's giving me a big grin. I give him a deadpan stare to let him know, or not to say anything. Alright, class, Mr. Hara says as he puts the stack of papers on his desk and returns to his podium. I guess he must have gotten my stack while I wasn't looking. The next thing we're going to be going over is something called inequalities. Mr. Hara turns around and writes it down on the board.
We'll go over this more on Monday, but I wanted to get everyone acquainted with the concept as some of your homework will involve this. Can anyone tell me what an algebraic inequality is?
Shiro raises his hand instantly.
Go ahead, Shiro.
Algebraic inequalities are mathematical sentences that are used to describe if something is greater than, less than, or equal to between two numbers or algebraic expressions. Oftentimes we will be tasked with trying to satisfy the inequality by finding the unknown value, say x, and plugging in numbers until the inequality is satisfied. So for example, there'd be a relationship like...
I tune out the rest of Shiro's answer. Amongst other things, I've heard rumors over the last few days that Shiro will always try to give the longest possible answer to any question someone asks him. I guess for better or worse, this one's true. Though, at least for right now, Mr. Hara doesn't seem to mind. He probably deals with other kids like Shiro on a daily basis in his other classes.
Very good, Shiro. That's the best answer I've heard all morning,
he says with a slight grin. Shiro, on the other hand, looks like he has just been awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. Mr. Hara begins writing down some notes on the whiteboard as he goes into further detail about the types of algebraic inequalities we'd be dealing with. I can read, I swear. The class quickly follows suit and begins copying down the notes. I look over at Shiro and he's writing at super speed. Geez, never seen him do that before. I thought he was more into science than math, though I guess the two do go hand in hand a lot. Mr. Hara turns back around.
Alright, so for the rest of the class we'll just be easing into inequalities. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to take one of these sample problems from our textbook and put it on the board and we'll just go through them together. That way the problems in your homework will be easy for all of you when you get to solve them. Alright, so first one.
With the textbook in hand, Mr. Hara writes up a problem on the board.
Alright, who wants to be the first up?
Unsurprisingly, Shiro raises his hand first and Mr. Hara happily obliges.
Shiro, the pleasure is yours.
Shiro gets up from his desk and takes the chalk from Mr. Hara and begins solving the problem. In about 30 seconds, he's able to solve the problem. Upon finishing it, he proudly sits back down.
Good work, Shiro. You seem to be a natural at this.
Thank you, Mr. Hara.
Alright, next problem.
Mr. Hara proceeds to write up the next problem on the board.
Alright, who's next?
A few people raise their hands, but unsurprisingly, Shiro was among the first to do so. Mr. Hara seems to purposefully not choose Shiro as he points at another student away from him.
Bella, why don't you take a crack at it?
Bella gets up from her aisle seat in the middle of the room and walks to the front. As she begins working on the problem, Shiro whispers to me.
She's already got it wrong. She forgot the negative sign.
Shiro says, pointing it out to me.
Chill, she'll get it. Unless she's suddenly going to remember it by the end, I doubt it. She's already 3 lines in and she's not carrying it. It's a pretty common mistake. I used to make it a lot too. But I'm a pro at it now.
Very cool, Shiro. As Bella continues on with the problem, I can see Shiro smugly looking on at the front as if he's waiting for his chance to prove her wrong. After about a minute, Bella finishes the problem and begins walking back to her desk. However, Mr. Hara stops her.
Are you sure you got everything?
She turns around, confused.
I think so. I mean, I don't really see how I could have messed up here. It's simple enough.
The arrogance in her voice sounds pretty similar to how Shiro was just a moment ago. Does math get everyone riled up around here or something?
Well, it's a simple problem, sure, but I think you should double-check your work.
Bella walks back to the front of the room and looks over the problem again. Shiro rolls his eyes.
Oh, brother,
he mutters under his breath. Shiro sheepishly raises his hand, again ignored by Mr. Hara. After a solid half-minute of looking over the problem, Bella turns back around, letting out a sigh.
I know I'm right here. I followed all the steps exactly, plus there's no way that 3 is less than 2.
She says with agitation growing in her voice. Mr. Hara simply nods.
You did. You followed everything and your statement is correct. But you did forget one small but crucial detail.
Oh, well, what did I forget?
Can anyone in the class help Bella out?
Shiro instantly raises his hand back up. Mr. Hara looks a little annoyed when only Shiro raises his hand, but nevertheless obliges him.
Shiro, what did Bella forget in the problem?
Bella forgot the negative sign. She must have not seen it on the first line of the problem, and she didn't carry it throughout her work. It's a rather common mistake. So therefore her answer is wrong, and she would need to redo it as her work is centered around a wrong answer. If needed, I'd be happy to help her out.
Shiro says, slowly rising from his desk.
Thank you, Shiro, but that won't be necessary.
So I have to do the whole thing over again?
I'm afraid so, but you know what you did wrong now, so you should be able to breeze right through this. Everything else besides that small error was correct, Bella. You got this.
Mr. Hara hands Bella an eraser. She begrudgingly erases her work and starts over.
Take this as an example to be very careful when solving equations, class.
After about a minute, she hands Hara back the chalk.
Good work, Bella. I know you can do it. You may sit down now.
Bella begins her walk back to her desk, but not before slowing down by our row to give Shiro a sickeningly sweet smile. It would be sickeningly.
Thank you so much for the help, Shiro.
She then sits down and looks the other way from us.
Never change, Annabelle.
Shiro mutters. I sigh. Come on, man, you didn't have to do it like that. She made one little mistake, so what?
I wasn't trying to be rude, I was trying to be helpful. Besides, when it comes to math, you make one little mistake and you're done. You have to start over.
I mean, yeah, but she had Hara up there.
Yeah, I guess. That's what I get for trying to participate in class.
He demurs as he turns back to the front of the room. I don't really think Shiro understands why he's in the wrong here, even if his intentions were pure. Oh well, no point in dragging this discussion out. I turn my attention back to the front of the room on Hara. And that seems like as good a place as any to stop for this first session. It's interesting so far. I heard that this mod has a lot of OCs and a lot of focus on characters that are not the Dokis, but the Dokis do exist, and I imagine we'll be encountering them eventually. I would guess that there are 5 episodes available in this. I don't actually know. I forgot what the download page said, but that is going to do it for now. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you next time with more branching paths. Hope to see you then. Bye-bye.